Olá, sou a Mariana Alvim. Bem-vindos ao Vale a Pena, o meu podcast onde falamos de livros favoritos e por vezes vamos da ficção para a realidade, com o apoio da WUC, a maior livraria online portuguesa. Fiquem por aí, vale a pena.
Today with me I have Virginia Tangvald. It's an author and filmmaker with a unique and adventurous background. Virginia was born at sea in 1986. I only saying the date of your birth because it's recent, so at sea in these days. Wow. She was aboard a sailboat built by her father, the Norwegian adventurer Peter Tangvald, and her father was a legendary sailor who circumnavigated the globe multiple times without modern equipment like engines or radios. We can learn more in her work, Les Enfants du Large, Ghosts of the Sea, or in Portuguese, Os Filhos do Mar Alto. It's a multimedia project that includes a novel and a documentary film. Both works explore her family's sea life legacy and the mystery surrounding her father and brother's deaths in different shipwrecks. The brother that helped cut your umbilical cord when you were born. So the documentary premiered at the festival du Nouveau Cinéma, and it won an award. Also, her novel was published in multiple languages, including Portuguese, Os Filhos do Mar Alto, and won also the Prix Révélation d'Automne and in numerous nominations. Virginia lived in various places, including Quebec and France, and her work reflects a deep connection to the sea and themes of adventure, loss, and resilience, especially resilience. Virginia's creative process involved retracing her father's steps across several countries, piecing together his life through journals, letters, and interviews. So you speak English, French, Norwegian. We'll keep this in English. And your adventurous family history inspired your creative works, blending personal tragedy with artistic expression. Welcome. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. I'm thrilled to be here.
I read your book, of course, and I have a word about your book and consequently about your life and work. And one word is wow. I loved your book, and it's sad and it's beautifully written. And you can bring, like, I don't know, you're talented. You're congratulations. And people have to read your book to know more. But won't you tell us a little about it? It took you a while to investigate. Now you have a lot of, even in few words, you have a lot of investigation made here.
Yes, I did investigate for years. So I wrote it rather quickly, but I had spent so many years piecing together all of the elements that I had found when I was traveling. Yeah. To talk about the book, I started writing it after my brother disappeared at sea 10 years ago. I felt like this, he disappeared 23 years after our father died at sea with our sister. And my mother was my father's seventh wife. So the three children, we had different mothers, and their two mothers also died at sea. So when my brother disappeared, I thought, well, this destiny keeps on repeating itself, and there's something I need to understand about the story to stop this cycle of tragedy.
Yeah. And what is your relationship with the sea, with the ocean?
I love the sea. I really feel deeply connected to the sea. When I leave on a sailboat, I feel like this is the true meaning of life, and this is so exhilarating. And then a couple hours later, I start feeling seasick, and then I feel completely revolted against the experience of being on the sailboat. I'm like, why is this happening? Why am I doing this to myself? We're not meant to live on the sea. We have feet. Like, this is totally against nature. So I think that my father also was very seasick. I could push through it, and then eventually, within a couple days or weeks, the seasickness would leave. But I think that the world's changed so much since the 50s, when my father started sailing around the world, where really the world was so mysterious, and these distant countries were completely different from ours, and you could really discover different cultures. And that were very difficult of access. So I think that adventure must have been completely exhilarating. But since now we have the internet and mondialisation, like the world resembles itself from one country to the other a lot more, and also it's less mysterious. Like you can look at what's happening in Haiti, you can just check it out on the internet.
It's true.
So it's not the same adventure. So I'm less drawn to living for weeks at sea and pushing through that seasickness.
And your father, actually, it was your brother. He even thought of having a terrain, a land in Brazil. Like it was still easy to, have your own land when you anchored your boat and to live like that, like a nomad.
Yes, it's possible that there was a program. I wonder if there wasn't a program or something where the government would give you some land.
Okay, probably.
But that was just 10 years ago, so it was pretty recent.
It is.
He had spent all his life at sea, and I think that he was fed up and he thought, okay, I really want an identity. From now on, I'm going to be Brazilian. He was learning Portuguese, and he even had a child in Brazil, on the waters in Brazil, to have the nationalities more easily. And it was still like, he still wanted to be self-sufficient, like the same ideal that you have on the sailboat or that our father had. But I think it's beautiful how he wanted to cultivate rare flowers and rare foods, and that he wanted to grow roots for himself at last.
Yeah, the project, you described his project thoroughly, and it's amazing, the description of the flowers, which flowers, how to, it's amazing. For those who haven't read this book, it could be fiction because it's, of course, it gives it more strength, the fact that it's real, because wow, this happened, and it's an amazing story, and powerful. It stays with us after we go off board. And for those who read the book, may I ask you, how is Christina? How is the children? How are the children?
They're in Puerto Rico. I saw them a couple months ago. I brought my son to Puerto Rico so that they could meet
your son,
my son, and connect. I think they're doing well. It's eventually, I think when you go through so much tragedy, you end up acting like it's normal or thinking it's normal, and life really does go on. So they're amazing children, and Christina is extremely resilient.
Great. Well, she has to be, yeah. Survivor, yeah. Os Filhos do Mar Alto. I know you're writing a new one. Is the next book you're writing, is it still about this family, your family legacy, or something else? Can you tell?
There's always themes that come back. So I like complicated family relationships and moral ambiguity. So yes, I'm writing about a true crime that happened in the 19th century in France, and I just thought every character was so beautifully morally ambiguous, and all of their arcs were already perfect. So I thought, this is already a novel.
Wow.
And about this novel, like you said, it could have been a fiction, but I would never have dared write this if it had been a fiction, because it's too much.
It is.
It would be almost ridiculous, like too hard to believe. And it really has to have truly happened for it to be digestible, I think, to the reader. And not only that, but I did tame it down a little bit, because I talk about one pirate attack, but there were 3 pirate attacks, but I thought it's a little redundant, so it's actually...
It's even worse.
It's even worse, yeah. The true story is even more incredible, yeah.
Yeah, you said something that it's true. I don't know if I know how to say well in English, but it's like the reality, it's more than fiction. It's ultrapassa. It's like...
We have the same expression in French, and I can't remember it in English either.
How's in French?
La fiction dépasse... Non, la réalité dépasse la fiction.
Exactly. A realidade ultrapassa a ficção. Exactly. This book is a proof of that. So Virginia Tangvald. Am I saying correctly the accent?
Yes, perfect.
Virginia.
Bravo!
Virginia Tangvald, Os Filhos do Mar Alto. Now let's get to know you a little better. First, the woman behind the book and the stories. 3 things you like.
I love eating and cooking. It's so meaningful for me. I got that from my mother, who even on the sailboat with such little resources, she could make amazing meals, and we would really share that time together. To me, it's sacred, sharing meals. And I love exploring different cultures through food. I think it says so much about the history and the values, I guess, of a country.
The culture,
The culture.
There's one thing you said you like, and I laughed alone reading it, because you said you love watching people fight in the streets.
I do.
And you pretend to be washing a window in order to take a peek.
I love it when people, I guess maybe because I'm so even-tempered, I don't get angry easily, and I just love people getting in fights in the street, yelling at each other, as long as it doesn't get out of hand. But
of course, not violent fight.
No. But I'm really curious. I go to the window, I check it out. I just love this Latin side of that I see in France.
And you said, I'm an old Italian lady.
Yeah.
We also have those in Portugal. Curious. Another thing you love is knitting.
I love knitting. It's so soothing to me. And once again, I love finding out about different cultures through their clothing patterns and the fabrics. I think it says, I love the rhythm between both hands. Apparently, it's very similar to the treatment that they give soldiers with post-traumatic stress disorder, to send messages from your right brain to your left brain.
Wow.
And very repetitive. To me, it's extremely soothing and addictive. And I have a lot of sweaters. So,
that would be my next question. And scarves and
no, really, sweaters.
It's more difficult.
And socks, which are surprisingly difficult. I would say it's better to start with a sweater than a sock.
Okay. How do you say knitting in French?
Tricoter.
Tricotar. Yeah, it's the same in Portuguese. Tricot. Okay. So things you don't like.
So I really don't like mouth noises. I think sometimes in the morning when my husband is having breakfast, and I love him with all my heart, and then that I started working because I work from home, so I'm very focused and I'm very alert and I hear everything, and I hear his mouth noises, I feel like there's this burning metal going through my stomach. It makes me so angry. It's like this unreasonable rage. And I know this is a me problem, so I try to control myself, but I usually just change rooms. But yeah, mouth noises, people eating a banana. There is no way you can eat a banana without making noise. Like, no matter, even if you keep your mouth closed and everything, it's going to make a horrible noise. And mumbling, I feel like often, but at the same time, I'm guilty of doing this sometimes. But I think when you're not sure of yourself, you tend to mumble, but then you force everybody to lean in and really try to focus on what you're saying. So at some point you have to decide, are you going to say it or not say it? And just, if you say it, say it.
Increase the volume.
Yes.
It's not you. I don't remember the name, but I did have an actress on this podcast, and she had the same complaint as you do, mouth noises. And I told her, like, okay, tell people to to close their mouths. And it's not that. And she said, like, for example, when she's being made up, she's an actress, and she cannot chew gum even with her mouth closed. And it's not her. I don't remember now, but I'll tell you later, and I can put in the description of this podcast. There's this name for it. So it's not just you, Virginia. There's something, that
I think it really is a condition.
Yeah, it's a condition, exactly.
And my son, who's 4 years old, I noticed that he's very sensitive to some noises that aren't even very loud, like silk paper, that you use for gifts.
Mm-hmm.
It's
to wrap dishes,
gifts. It's a very soft noise. He hates that noise. So I think, maybe it's...
Inherited that condition.
Yeah, sorry.
Another thing you don't like, and this, of course, I hope lots of people will relate to this, when people talk down to other people.
I'm so sensitive to that, and I hate it. And if I see someone do that, it's going to be very hard for me to like them again. And sometimes I remember one time in particular, especially men, they'll do that in front of you to impress you. Oh my God, what a mistake. I remember this guy, he was trying to seduce me, and he did that. And
it's a turn off.
He saw that there was no way coming back from there. Then we were walking on the street, and I just wanted to cut it short. But he started talking to the homeless people and crouching down to try to look like he was a nice person. And I disliked him even more. I thought it was so ridiculous. But yeah, especially if you're in a position of power, but I don't like people who talk down to other people, even if they are in a perceived position of power. I think it's so important to have empathy and respect.
Yeah, exactly. So now let's get to know the reader. So with so many research and your artistic projects and your 4-year-old Orphée, when and how are you able to read?
It's a challenge, and I like reading in the morning, and I like listening to audiobooks and knitting at the same time. So that, to me, that's total happiness. Or else, yes, I think in the morning, because I like starting the day with that dose of poetry and reading with a clear mind. I think it's a beautiful way to start the day. And I have that luxury because I work from home. And
okay, so you put Orphée at school, because when you have a 4-year-old, you're not able to listen to an audiobook and stay still.
Oh no, I can't do anything. I can't even think 2 consecutive sentences in my own head with a 4-year-old. But no, I bring him to school, and then my husband brings him to school. I get him ready for school, and my husband brings him to school, and I start by meditating a bit and reading.
Okay, so the first book you chose. L'Idiote, The Idiot, O Idiota, also in Portuguese, by Dostoevsky. Tell me about it.
That was such an amazing book that took me forever to read because it's so big. I was in Costa Rica in a hammock reading it, and I remember the neighbor, who is a very hard worker, physical worker, he started turning around aggressively every once in a while to look at me, like he was so annoyed that I was still in the hammock.
The hammock is it's the rede in Portuguese. It's when you put that piece of fabric from one tree between 2 trees, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Oh, so you took all the time in the hammock, and he wanted his turn?
No, I think he was annoyed by his perceived laziness of me, or what he perceived as being lazy. But I loved that book. It's about, you know what, I can't even remember very clearly what the story was. It's this prince he has epilepsy, and he's recovering from the epilepsy, and then he's meeting all of these people who have the same name, Alexander. They're all called Alexander. I had to take notes on this side to remember who is who. Yeah. They all have 3 names, and there's Alexander in all of their names. And there's this extraordinarily beautiful woman whom one of his friends is in love with, and he ends up murdering her. And you
cannot tell me everything.
Sorry. Then the prince ends up regressing, but what I loved so much, I think it's hard to remember the story because there are so many different storylines happening at the same time. It's a really thick book.
There are love triangles, and he gets involved with Natasha, and then a passionate yet troubled woman, and then Anglaya Ivanovna, a young aristocrat.
And he's just such a genuinely magnificent person who's kind and who never talks down to anybody. And when people talk down to him, he just reacts in such an endearing, genuine way that it feels real. It doesn't feel like you really fall in love with this character. But what I really loved was how Dostoevsky, he manages to show all of these extremely precise habits that people have, or ways of expressing themselves, or ways of being. His observation is so spot on that he's talking about characters in Russia in the 19th century, but you recognize exactly the people that you saw in the morning at the coffee shop, and you recognize it's so modern because I guess these things are really universal.
Yeah,
and
human nature.
It's so spot on. It's amazing. It's It's passionnant.
Yeah. What I learned from the book is that the prince, Lev Nikolaevich Mishkin, he's very kind-hearted and empathetic man. And so people take advantage of that. And he gets surrounded by mean people. So it's like the novel builds this conclusion that highlights the struggle between morality, and now I'm reading, of course, faith, love, and the darker aspects of human nature.
Yes, but he triumphs. It's beautiful because you see, and you kind of see when you go high, people, they don't have this, they can't get to you. You feel like nothing gets to him because he's so wonderful.
That gives hope to good people.
It does. It does.
You know, I've went to look for fun facts about Dostoevsky, and he also had epilepsy, which inspired him, this character. And of course, I think everybody knows, and we have in Portugal also the Karamazov brothers and Crime and Punishment, other moral novels. But I didn't remember, I don't know, but he had this gambling habit, which on one hand inspired him to write The Gambler. We have it in Portugal. O Jogador, and it's a short, unlike what you're used to. It's less than 200 pages. And he wrote Crime and Punishment in a short period because he had deadlines to pay off gambling debts. So Crime and Punishment, that huge book, was written in a short period of time. Wow.
We have the same problem, him and I, because I don't have a gambling problem, but I did have my editor who was putting so much pressure on me to finish the book. So I don't
work better on stress.
Under pressure for money, because I had already spent my advance and I couldn't pay it back. So
you shouldn't say that out loud. No, because next time your publisher will give you less time.
Yeah, that's true.
Fyodor Dostoevsky, The Idiot, O Idiota. Next book you chose, La Promesse de l'Aube, a Promessa. We have it in Portuguese as well. Romain Gary.
Yes, that's also self-fiction, and I read that out loud. Well, I talk about it in the book. I read it out loud to my ex when he was hospitalized in the psychiatric ward, and it was like our way of protecting ourselves, and a bit like
Jean,
yes. In the same way of Dostoevsky, a little less precise, but his description of people and situations. It's also a writer who's figuring out how to make a living. It's his own story. His relationship to his mother is so unusual and moving. The way how she's so strong and she protects him from. I'm not gonna spoil the ending, But it's really written with so much elegance, and but without ever being pompous or pretentious in the writing. But it's very sleek, very graceful, the writing.
And it's a tribute to his mother.
Yes.
That's beautiful. Yeah, La promesse de l'aube. In Portuguese, it's the promise of dawn, isn't it? Because in Portugal, it's just the promise, a promessa. Romain Gary, he was the only author that won the prestigious Prix Goncourt twice, and it's not possible. But he pretended his nephew won it for him. He had how to say, like a
pseudonym.
Pseudonym, exactly.
Yeah.
And only after he died did his nephew tell the truth.
No way.
Yeah.
I did not know that it was only after he died. I thought that he was having a blast and telling them, I won it twice, I got you. That's what I would have done. But yes, his pseudonym was Émile Jarre. And I restrained myself from putting that book on the list, La Vie devant soi, because it's also beautiful. And he wrote it in a completely different style from what we're used to him writing.
Okay.
So he wrote it from the point of view of the main character, who was a child. So it was a very candid, simple style, but with the same grace and elegance, but almost naive.
Okay. Those books you mentioned, we also have them in Portugal. La Vie devant soi is Uma Vida à Sua Frente, which is the second book that won the Goncourt. And the first one that won the Goncourt with his name, The Roots of Heaven, Les Racines du Ciel.
I didn't read that one.
Okay, As Raízes do Céu. His mother was a Jewish actress, and she had a profound influence on his life and ambition. So she trusted him. He knew he would go far, and he gave him that trust and that security. And then he made this homage to her with this book.
It's so beautiful. I'm thinking about this one scene that he talks about when he goes to war and the plane crashes, and when he was a child, he would juggle in front of his mother to impress his mother and to feel her approval. And during the war, there's this terrible crash. I think there's this very graphic description of the death with flies of his friends. And he starts juggling oranges that he finds. And it's soothing for him to be that child looking for his mother again through her approval through juggling. So it's those kind of details that I thought were so moving, so sweet and troubling and sweet at the same time, and such an elegant depiction of the human psyche.
La promesse de l'aube, a promessa, Romain Gary. Another book you chose. Now it's a Netflix series by Margaret Atwood, alias Grace. In Portuguese, Vulgo Grace. Do you remember the story? Also in the 19th century.
Yes, that is a true crime story that really happened in the 19th century with a maid and an accomplice who worked for the same person, who were accused of having murdered their boss that they were working for. And I found it fascinating because, Margaret Atwood is one of my favorite authors. I love the way she told it from different point of views, including the person accused of murder. And you never know as a reader, you never know if she's guilty or not. And the story is told through the main character, through her psychiatrist and the sessions that they have together, through the letters of his psychiatrist to the psychiatrist's mother, and through the newspapers. So it's told from all of these different point of views, and it's feminist in a very understated way. The way she talks about everyday life, and I love her emphasis on textures. I think I took that a lot from her. So that when she depicts things in a bit of a strange way.
But what do you mean textures? What, layers? People's
No.
What?
Literally textures.
Literally, okay.
Like, is it sticky? Is it glossy? Is
descriptions.
The descriptions of textures. I enjoy that so much in her writing. I think I learned that myself from her.
Okay, you have that in your the Sticky Floors, or you have that in your novel.
Yes,
Yeah.
Maybe because of Margaret Atwood.
Wow. Some believe Grace is innocent, others think her evil or insane. And there's this critiques of this book. They say, like, female evil, femme fatale, or weak and unwilling victim. So you have Hilary Mantel, the author. She says, brilliant. Atwood's prose is searching, so intimate it seems to be written on the skin.
Oh, that's exactly it. Bravo.
Bravo. And The Independent on Sunday by Julie Meyerson, a sensuous, perplexing book, at once sinister and dignified, grubby and gorgeous, panoramic yet specific. I don't think I have ever been so thrilled.
She is very specific. She'll never talk about a generic tree. It's a specific tree, and she'll describe exactly what's special about that tree or particular about that tree. She does that all the time with all of her characters. And I love the woman herself. I rarely do this. I try not to be, well, I'm generally not too interested in the artists themselves, but she is so mischievous. She has this mischievous smile, and you always feel like she's playing a trick on you when she's explaining something, and she looks a little cunning.
Yeah, like naughty.
Naughty, yeah. And her characters are kind of naughty too. You're always wondering what they're up to now because they act in unexpected ways.
I used to ask on this podcast in previous seasons, with which author you would like to have dinner with. You would say Margaret Atwood.
Definitely Margaret Atwood.
Margaret Eleanor Atwood. She was born in Canada. Author, poet, literary critic, celebrated for her thought-provoking works and contributions to literature. She has lots of books, of course, and most of them are in Portuguese. The Handmaid's Tale, Diário de uma Serva, this one you mentioned, Vulgo Grace, Os Testamentos, and Penelope, the Odisseia de Penelope. And she won numerous awards, including 2 Booker Prizes. And this one she could win twice. She didn't have to cheat like Émile Ajar. Vulgo Grace. Another one you chose, the talented Mr. Ripley. There we go again, by Patricia Highsmith. There we go again into Pepper's inner thoughts and conspiracies.
I love Patricia Highsmith, and see, this is why she looks like such a strange person. Like she had snail pets, and she would travel with them under her coat, and I don't think she had any friends, only snails. It was a very strange character, but I love her books because it's very morally ambiguous. So you have this complexity of human nature that is fascinating to me, and she writes in a kind of dry way where the cruelty is understated, and it just makes it even more impactful that it's told as if it were normal, or as if it were normal or not a big deal. It just makes it even more glaçant in French, even more disturbing, impactful.
The Talented Mr. Ripley is a series of psychological suspense novels. It's 5 books. I had a guest on this podcast. He said he rereads Patricia Highsmith every year.
Wow. Yeah, it's amazing. And also she has just a way of writing thrillers. There's such page turners, and at the same time there's so much depth psychologically, and she really pinpoints the strangeness of human nature and why we do things with no clear motivation, or motivations that you have no explanation for, like wanting to be the other person. And
Deeply.
yes.
Yeah, I think not everyone, of course, someone might not know because this was the first book, a movie with Matt Damon. But you remember, like, do you want to explain a little bit about the synopsis?
So he is a pianist. He's from this more impoverished background, and he pretends, I think, to be in an Ivy League or something like that. And
Ivy League is a good college, right?
Yeah, good.
Like Harvard or Stanford. Or...
A good college.
Yeah.
And the father of one of his, well, what would have been one of his colleagues or students that would have studied with him, he approaches him and he asks him to go to Italy. He pays for the trip and everything, and convince his son to come back, because his son, he moved to Italy and he's really living the fariente lifestyle, like the dolce vita lifestyle in Italy. He's not doing anything. He's not being productive. So he goes to Italy, but he tells him right away, but he's excellent at pretending to be the other person. So he goes to Italy and he tells this student right away that it's his father who sent him, but he's fascinated with this handsome man who has so much natural grace, who has family money, who's socially suave, like super.
Yeah.
Whereas he's very strange, and he tries to become his friend, and he kind of becomes obsessed with him. And when he is rejected by him, he ends up killing him, and then he pretends to be him, and he continues traveling, taking on his identity.
And this is not being a spoiler. This is like the premise. So who's listening to us can read it anyway. So, Patricia Highsmith, you said she was strange, and she actually was. She lived in Europe, England, France, Switzerland, and then she was known for her preference for living alone. So she isolated on a farm in Switzerland, where she stayed until the end of her life alone. She didn't like people.
Yes, she didn't like people.
And she has I don't know the title, os cadernos, the notebooks, her diaries.
Yes.
I recommend to you. Did you know she has that?
I did not know that.
Okay, so yeah.
That's fascinating.
So Mr. Ripley, the series by Patricia Highsmith. So in the end, I give you recommendations. I recommend to you the diaries by Patricia Highsmith. It's her journals. And then I have a surprise for you. And actually, either you have it and I'm sad about it, but because you mentioned you're studying and writing, you like true crime. And I found this book. It's a gripping historical fiction and crime novel inspired by the real life crimes of a notorious serial killer in the 70s. So the book shifts away from the killer and centers on the women whose lives the murderers affected. So you have a fresh perspective on the true crime genre. So you have a girl, Pamela, she finds two friends. She's a sophomore, and she wakes up in the middle of the night with some strange noise, and two of her classmates are dead. That's in 1978. And then 4 years before, another girl is at the beach, daylight, lots of people, and her friend disappears as well. So she thinks the cases are connected, and this was a true crime, and this is a book about it, but on the perspective of the people that stayed to tell the story. And the author, she's Jessica Knoll. She's a best-selling American author and screenwriter, known for her sharp, thought-provoking, there you go, your style, narratives that often explore themes of ambition, identity, and the darker sides of human nature. So I thought this book might be your genre. Do you know it?
No, I don't. This is exactly the kind of thing I like. Thank you so much. It's spot on. And I love that it's told from the perspective of the woman. It's what I tried to do also in my book, that they weren't just secondary characters, that to make them more central.
Wow, so maybe this will inspire you.
And I love thrillers. That's what I also like about Patricia Highsmith, is that I love thrillers where the motivation is not money and not sex. I find that kind of boring when it's an other element like identity.
You like the dark side.
Yes, exactly what you talked about, like identity. When that's a motivation for murder, that's when I find it really interesting.
Well, so great, Virginia. It was a pleasure.
Thank you. I had a great time. Thank you for having me.
Me too. Virginia Tangvald with Os Filhos do Mar Alto. See you soon, I hope.
I hope so too. See you soon. Great. Well, thank you so much.